Hello again, guys. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about vehicle insurance in the UK, and to make it a little bit more interactive, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be comparing it to the way they do vehicle insurance in France and some other countries. Talk about the pros and cons of both ways of doing it, and then get you guys to comment below. Let me know if I've missed out any points, and more importantly, let me know what you think, whether it's better to have the system that we have, or if it would be better to have the system that France and other countries have. So let's get into it. So the UK insurance system is very restrictive, in that basically how it works obviously is your vehicle is insured, but only the policyholder and named drivers on the policy are allowed to drive it. Now, there are exceptions. I'm not going to talk about business or company or commercial insurance here, because that's a little bit different. And also, you do get insurance policies that will allow you to drive other people's cars, third party, so long as they have their own insurance and things like that. But just to keep things simple, your bog standard policy will only let the people on that policy drive that specific car. And that's how the UK system works. Right. So the French system, also used in other countries around Europe, is that instead of having an individual person insured, you actually just have the vehicle insured. So every vehicle that's on the road has its own insurance. Anybody can drive that vehicle so long as they have a valid license for that class of vehicle, but the vehicle itself is insured. So, advantages and disadvantages. We'll start with the UK system. So obviously the first disadvantage is just how restrictive it is. You can only drive the car on your policy, and likewise only the people on that policy can drive that car. Now, if you get into a situation which, say, I don't know, something happens and you need someone to take over driving, or you need someone else to drive your car but they're not on the insurance policy, obviously you can't legally do that. Now granted, that's probably not something that happens very often to very many people, but you never know, it can happen. So that's just a little restriction there that can obviously put a spanner in the works. It also means that if a friend wants to lend you their car or whatever, unless you do have a policy that lets you drive other people's cars third party, you have to kind of go and get day insurance or something like that. So yeah, I mean that's obviously a bit of a pain in the arse. The advantages to the system, however, are that by having individuals insured, the insurance can be kind of catered around them. So if you've got someone that's a very good driver, they've got a lot of no claims, bonus and everything else, and they've generally behaved themselves, to a point they get rewarded. I mean, I'm not going to start talking too much about our insurance companies and stuff, because I hate them all, and that's a conversation for another day. But generally speaking, if you've been good, you get rewarded. At least that's the idea anyway. Whereas if you're a terrible driver, or if you're young and everything else, then obviously you pay that little bit more because you're more of a risk, and it's all risk based, and that's obviously that's quite a good thing. Although, having said that, that brings me on to another disadvantage, and that's young drivers, because yes, young drivers are obviously a higher risk, regardless of how good they are, how well they behave. They're always going to be a higher risk because they're inexperienced. But at the same time, a lot of young drivers nowadays, well, a lot of people are being discouraged from driving altogether, because the thing is insurance for beginner drivers and young drivers is so high. Just being able to afford it is ridiculous, and that's obviously where our system is a bit of a pain, because it's becoming more and more difficult for people to start driving. Not impossible, but they're spending thousands of pounds just for the insurance, and that's bearing in mind they only probably spend a couple of £100 to £1,000 buying their first car. it costs them more than the car's worth just to insure it for one single year. I mean, that's quite that is quite a disadvantage. It's quite unfortunate. So moving on to the European system, as I'm going to call it. As I said before, I don't know all the points, advantages and disadvantages. So if anybody knows of any more, please do put them in the comments section. Let's get a real good conversation going here and see where it goes. So anyway, European system. Obviously, advantages. Well, what I was just talking about, individuals, young individuals who are getting into driving. Obviously, it's not such a problem for them in France or wherever, because the car itself is insured. They can take the family car out as long as they've got a license, and they're, you know, they're not being royally screwed over by the insurance companies. Obviously, a disadvantage, however, is that the insurance premiums aren't, I don't know how expensive or how cheap they are, because obviously, whereas ours are all dependent on a variety of things, obviously they're dependent on factors of the car, be it engine size and all that kind of stuff, power output, security features, all that kind of thing. Obviously, we also base our insurance on the individual driver. Obviously, if you're only basing it on the vehicle, that reduces the number of variables that you can use to determine how cheap or expensive the insurance should be. So it is literally just based on how big the engine is, what the security on it's like, and all that kind of stuff, the age, that kind of thing. But then again, is that a disadvantage? That's another one I'm going to have to leave up to you guys to decide, because on the one hand it's a disadvantage because insurance premiums become a little bit more generic regardless of who you are. But then at the same time, if they're based purely on the vehicle, and obviously it's more expensive to insure, you know, bigger, more powerful, less eco-friendly vehicles, then that's going to potentially drive more people to have slightly more eco-friendly vehicles, or at least vehicles with slightly smaller engines and things like that. So that could be seen as an advantage or disadvantage. I'll leave it to you guys to decide. But yeah, so there's that. Actually, apart from that, I really don't see an awful lot of disadvantages to the European system, to be fair. I mean, there's a lot of disadvantages from the point of view of the insurance companies, because they've got less chance to screw you over, but yeah, do you know, I really don't know. I can't think off the top of my head of anything else that's particularly bad about it. You insure the vehicle, anyone can drive it, so long as they have the permission of the owner and a valid licence to do so. I really don't see the bad side of that. I mean, that's me personally. Honestly, guys, make up your own minds, leave comments, let me know your thoughts, yeah, I think that'll be it for this video. If you did like it, please do give me the old thumbs up and subscribe, and look out for all the new videos coming up. I've got a few more coming up in the next couple of weeks, reviews, that kind of thing. So yeah, in the meantime, I'll catch you guys soon.